Hello, everybody. This is Professor Berkow, and this is one of the most important pages in the class this semester because we're going to be discussing three or four related concepts, the thesis development as it relates to the development of the subarguments and using coarse vocabulary terms. And this is something you're going to do with all three essays in this class, all four essays. And not only that, but really you're going to be using concepts like this in every single course beyond the English department. That's one of the reasons I teach it this way. So I'm going to start sharing the page right away and giving you some pointers as you develop and read these examples as you develop your own thesis. Now, notice I call this a working thesis. It's a work in progress. And there's several things going on here as you read this thesis. These are the sub-arguments that it's going to foreshadow. So it's kind of hard to write your thesis if you don't have the sub-arguments, the smaller reasons to agree with the thesis before you start writing it. So it's like, do you put the cart before the horse? That kind of metaphor. Um, the working thesis I have here is also an example of how you can critique literature without being afraid that the teacher is going to be insulted. I don't care if you don't like a story and I do like the story. Um, if you express yourself eloquently and support your critique with evidence, that's going to earn a good grade. Here's the working thesis. You notice that the writer here likes Mark Twain much more than Flannery O'Connor. The celebrate Mark Twain's story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, is more enjoyable to read than Flannery O'Connor's A Good Man is Hard to Find. And this now foreshadows, coming after this, the rest of the sub-arguments, because his round characters are more likable and because vivid scene setting sets up a more satisfying denouement. Now, notice we're using round characters and denouement. Those are coarse vocabulary terms. Now, it's not that important for you to know those vocabulary terms of literary analysis beyond my class. You may forget them and never use them again. But the process of identifying important course concepts and using the new vocabulary eloquently in your essays, that's going to help you in every course beyond mine. So here are the sub-arguments. Sub-argument number one, Mark Twain's round characters are more believable than O'Connor's flat characters. Okay, it's pretty obvious. Now you can support that with the rest of that sub-argument. Remember, a sub-argument is like a chapter in your paper. It should be 2 or 3 paragraphs, and you should blend your voice justifying this statement with evidence. And the evidence comes from 2 places. It'll come from the primary source, the actual stories that you read, and secondary sources, research that you've done where you find scholars who agree with you or disagree with you. Sub-argument number 2, Mark Twain's scene setting creates a vivid backdrop while O'Connor's scene setting seems like a faded Polaroid photo. Notice that the writer here is kind of putting in some original writer's voice, faded Polaroid photo. That's pretty good metaphor there. Vivid backdrop. These are not boring sentences. They're trying to get the idea across that one writer is better than the other writer at scene setting. Third sub-argument, which is foreshadowed by your thesis, the ending or denouement. Notice I did work that vocabulary word in there. The ending or denouement of Mark Twain's story is more uplifting than the depressing ending of O'Connor's story. It's important to notice that each subargument is based on a vocabulary course concept introduced in the class. And here's something for you to think about. You've got this first essay coming up, and guess what? In a way, you've already started drafting that first essay by working on the generating exercises in this class. if you've been generating ideas about the denouement, you can literally copy and paste parts of that exercise into your essay. If you've been generating ideas about scene setting or round characters or dynamic characters or any of those other concepts that we're working, that's why we call them generating exercises. You're generating material that you can use in your essay. In a sense, you're writing a very, very early draft of each sub-argument. We're going to do that with all 4 essays in this class, and by the end of the semester, you're going to have a really good feeling for how to work on each individual section of the essay by itself and then put it all together with one coherent 4 or 5 page essay. And it's not going to be hard at all. For those of you who are concerned and worried about how hard it will be to write an essay, you're going to find it's actually pretty easy. If you take all of your generating exercises, copy them all, and paste them into a Microsoft Word document, you're going to have 3/4 of an essay finished, and you'll be going, "Thank you, Professor Berkow. This was much easier than I thought it was." At least I hope some of you wish you could throw rotten tomatoes at me if you just happen to know where I live, but I'm not going to reveal that. All right. Have fun with the generating exercise. And this is one of them, right? This is an exercise to help you think through what you're going to do with your essay when you get finished with all these essays and with all of these exercises. When you get, that was easy for me to say. I'm at the end of my video. I'm not going to do it over again because I screwed up one sentence. If you get to the end of all of these exercises, take a look at what you've accomplished already. You're going to find that essay, that first essay, really comes together quickly. Have fun with it, okay? And laugh at my mixed up vocal here, my voice overdone. That was a good video. I'm not going to do it over again.